Hello, Jack.
Good afternoon, Abdullah. How are
Hi,
you?
how you doing?
I'm well, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. How do you feel this morning?
I'm doing well today. I've done my exercise again, and I'm living a good life.
Mm-hmm. It's really hot outside.
It is. I did my exercise indoors, and I'm thankful for air conditioning, and I do enjoy the heat, but not too much. We've had quite a bit here lately.
Mm-hmm. And Jack, I'm wondering if you have any idea about health coaching, or you are familiar with health coaching?
Just that little bit that when we talked the other day about me coming in, but I don't know the details of it.
Yeah, health coach is not a doctor, is not an expert. I'm your ally, I'm your partner here to discuss your concern together and help each other to create your plan, your decision, help you to make your own decision. And let me ask you, what brings you here in today?
Well, the thing is that for a very long time, I've been trying to become less self-centered. And I've had different times in my life that I've worked on that. And then here recently, a few months ago, I realized that I really need some help with that. Being more of a person that reaches out to friends and family and lives that kind of life.
Mm-hmm. You want to extend relationship, and you want to get rid of being self-centered.
Right. I don't want to focus on myself.
Mm-hmm. What makes you concerned about this?
Well, it's just not the right thing to do. In fact, recently I had a little bit of a flare-up with my brother, and it caused me to realize that I don't communicate well or make the special point of communicating well with people. When I see people every day, like my daughters, my grandchildren, we get along great. But if somebody is not there, or happen to be there, or they don't call me, then I may kind of forget about them, I think.
Mm-hmm. So you want to improve your communication skills with people around you?
Well, communication skills, but perhaps just the awareness that I think I communicate okay when I do make contact with them, but I need to be intentional about. For example, with my mom, she's 93 years old, and I find that I only call her, it seems like about once every 3 weeks now, and I don't think that's right. I don't think that's being a good person, a good son. A good son would be. She lives by herself, and she has friends and family and around her, closer than in close proximity, where I'm a little ways away, but I still should be able to call her and even go see her on a more regular basis.
Mm-hmm. You seem really concerned about your family.
Yeah.
Tell me more about it.
I think that I don't even think I'm practicing my faith when I leave them alone like that. I'm not maintaining a good relationship the way I should.
So you regret right now?
Yeah, again, I want to be I want to be close to God, and I think being close to God requires me to build relationship with other people, to reach out and be a helpful person. And sometimes being helpful is just a matter of carrying on the conversation and just showing that you care, showing that you, you are concerned about your family. Haven't heard from you. Just wondering what's going on. And those kinds of things can be very productive in the sense of it's a connection. It's doing what I'm called to do.
Mm-hmm. I hear religion or your faith has an impact on your relationship and makes you think about it again and over and over.
Yes, that's true. I attend church regularly on Sunday, and I head up a once a month Wednesday group of men, and we go on an annual retreat and some other things. But I think that if I'm not careful, I'm just going through the motions, because then, something happens to a friend, maybe he's in the hospital, whatever, and maybe I didn't even find out about it because I was not keeping my ear open and keeping the communication lines as open as I should.
Mm-hmm. You want to increase your awareness about your relationships and your friends and what's going on around you. And how important is that to you?
Right. I think feeling the Spirit of the Lord inside of me as a daily thing is extremely important. And then reflecting that Spirit, reflecting the light of God out to others and receiving that information back and being a conduit for the Lord is something that's very important to me.
Mm-hmm. So your faith is very important and affecting your relationship, your thinking in a positive way.
Yes, when I do what I should do, then I think that's something that is appreciated. And something I should mention is that sometimes I think my failure might go all the way back to the problem that I had back 40 years ago and when I came home from Vietnam and discovered that I had symptoms that I didn't understand. There was talk about that some of the soldiers had PTSD, but the news about it said that there were a bunch of guys just trying to get over on the government. They were trying to get money from the government. And I didn't want to get money from the government. I didn't want people to know that I was, quote, damaged goods. That was the way a lot of us talked about people with PTSD. It was like a shell-shocked soldier or something that had run away or something, and that was not the case. But there was such a stigma to it. The war was a bad war. There was no good reason for why we lost 58,000 men over fighting somewhere where we didn't know what we were fighting for. So anyway, that's some of those symptoms included a numbness to an emotional numbness that many of us felt.
Mm-hmm. So that stigma around PTSD prevents you from talking about your concern.
Well, that was another thing that was interesting. Is yes, it meant that for many years I did not talk about it, and then after I quote retired from my last full-time job, that I had some friends suggesting that I should go to the VA, and they talked about the compensation, and I said I don't want the compensation. They said, well, no, you should go talk to him anyways. And my brother did not want me to go because he was kind of one of those that he went and he had friends that would end up getting diabetes and automatically start drawing a big check. And there I was on the verge of diabetes. And but after talking to him, I went the other way. I did not take the prescription drugs for diabetes. Instead, I lost my weight. I exercised. I got to where I didn't need that. And then, lo and behold, having conversation with other people with the problem, I think was very helpful to me. And so since then, I've discovered that, yes, I do want to talk about it.
So talking with other people who have the same symptoms for PTSD was very helpful for you to talking about it.
Yes, in fact, the combination of things I've done, I am sleeping better. I'm not kicking into bed the way I did for so long. I'm not as anxious. I don't get as much of a foul taste coming up in my mouth in anxious situations. So I've seen a number of improvements.
Mm-hmm. PTSD seems another thing that affects your relationship. Can you please tell me more about the PTSD and how could it affect your relationship?
Well, it's a very complicated thing that, and it's pretty amazing. There's things like if you had attention deficit disorder as a child and then you experience trauma, then it seems that if anyone experiences trauma, then about 80% of them, they get over it. They may dwell on it for a while, but at some point they get over it.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, there's about 20% of us that when we experience a certain trauma, that we may get kind of stuck with that being changing the way we feel about ourselves or how we feel about the world. And so I think that it did affect me, and I was stuck. And I think just talking about it was very helpful in making me understand just that thing, that, yeah, I was kind of stuck in something where I kept repeating patterns of behavior that were consistent with the problems the events that had occurred back in Vietnam. And then I need to get beyond that. I need to form new habits and go around. I'm not going to get rid of the bad memories or whatever, but can I kind of build a bypass road around them, if you put it in terms of traveling? If I just get around that blockage, it's like there's been a wreck in the road, but is there another path around? And you go around on another road long enough, and you actually build it into an interstate highway where you just zip right around that previous problem.
Mm-hmm. Jack, you tried to overcome the situation. Have you ever talked to doctors, counseling about it?
Yes, the steps in the VA after you go to those initial group sessions where you're really more just talking with other vets and you're learning some things about the way the mind works and learning what PTSD, what some of the many symptoms are. Then you progress through, and I'm currently in a long program that's called CBT, Change Behavior Therapy. And so I have a psychologist that's still a group, but it's a small group. It's about usually four or maybe five people there, patients there, and the counselor. And we were working through, and we kind of relive the events and talk about the events that happened. And that's was always hard to do. That's actually talking about some of the trauma event itself was hard to do. And, but I've gotten to where I can pretty much talk about that pretty well too.
Mm-hmm. So you found it helpful to join CBT and talking about the concern?
I think it's been helpful, but I think again that I still have some numbness of emotion, which means that. Let me give you another example. I ran into a friend of mine the other day, and we had a wonderful time talking about old times and everything. And then at some point I said, "My, how long has it been?" And I think it was close to 10 years since he and I had been had a conversation, and yet there was a time in my life about 30 years ago when I would say, "Oh, this is my best friend." Well, I could blame him, but really, it's blaming me. I think I'm the one to blame because I think I'm the one that kind of drops the ball there of not really having that feeling. I don't have that emotion, that sense of connection to him, because I go on and focus on something else. It's in which that maybe they say that some of us that have PTSD have. It's confusing whether we actually have ADHD or we just have symptoms that are like ADHD. For some of the people that have it, if you give them a medicine that's designed to treat PTSD, it will cure somebody of ADHD, or it will treat ADHD. But anyway, for whatever reason, that sense of I'll focus on something, and then but you put it out of sight, out of mind, and I'll just totally forget about it. And I don't have it. It's like the thing about remembering names. I think there's some connection there. I have a difficult time remembering names. Mm-hmm. I think it's because I don't feel that connection to people the way I should. Mm-hmm. The way the Lord would have me to do.
Mm-hmm. So that situation still affecting you. And what a successful relationship looks like?
Well, that would be where both parties care enough about each other that they would stay connected.
Stay connecting with people would improve your relationship with people who are around you.
Yes. If I become intentional about it, then I think that would, if perhaps on a daily basis I had some way of reminding myself to just get in the habit of being intentional about connecting with people that are important to me.
Mm-hmm. And Jack, what the 2 steps could you take immediately would make the greatest difference in your current situation?
I think if I were to every day have a period of time where I maybe only 5 minutes, but where I just stop and think about who I should connect with and make a list, and then try to follow through with some kind of connection. Is there something I should be doing today with different family members?
Mm-hmm. So you seem ready to have a change, to start change.
Yes, I would very much like to do it.
How would you rate your confidence? 1 is there is no confidence, and 10, you are very confident to achieve your goal.
Over the next several months, it's not really high. I'd say only a 5.
Mm-hmm. So why did you choose 5, not 3 or 8 or 9?
Well, the reason I have 5 instead of 3 would be that, I'm serious about it. So I think it's something that's important that I should do. But the reason it's not an 8 or 9 is that I just don't feel like I've got the time right now to focus that much energy on that issue.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems we just have a few minutes left. Let me see if I can summarize what we have talked about today. You want to improve your relationship, Jack, and some factors contributed together to affect your relationship, health and religion, your faith, relation with God would be positively affect your relationship.
Right. Yes. That's correct.
Yeah. So because of our short time, I'm really looking forward to seeing you soon and discussing this matter together and having new opportunities to see each other.
Very good. Yes, I would like to come back.
Thank you so much, Jack.
Yes.